Hi! Alright, if you check out this video clip, it's me taking my lunch break, and I'm definitely doing something that I wouldn't recommend when stringing a racket, so you might not be able to tell at this moment. So after lunch, I was sitting at my computer, replying to some comments, and you'll see me after I'm done with that. I'll be standing up, and I'll go to my machine right here, and I'm going to start stringing this racket, but maybe you'll be able to see it right here. Did you figure it out? Look at this picture one more time. Doesn't it look like I'm starting to install the cross strings? So did you figure out why this demonstrates how not to string a racket? In this video, I'll share why taking a break halfway through stringing a racket is not recommended. Alright, so I have one more stringing to do before I explain my experiment and reveal my findings. So earlier in the video, I finished stringing the crosses, then took a lunch break, then finished stringing the crosses. So if you haven't heard why taking a break while stringing a racket is not recommended, it's for the reason of consistent tension. Now, I was still curious though, and I wanted to experiment and find out how taking a break while stringing a racket really affects the overall string job. So here's what I did in my experiment. I got two rackets. I strung both of them 2 times, and this first racket with polyester strings and the second racket with synthetic strings. Now let's take a look at this first racket. It's a Prince ATS Tour 98. The string, I used Babolat RPM Blast 17 gauge and strung at 48 pounds. Now this is the one that was in that video earlier that I actually took a 30-minute lunch break. So what I did is I took the Babolat RDC string bed deflection reading, and it's 51. And I used my IART 300 to measure the dynamic tension at 33 and the string tension at 48. Now the second racket I strung is how I'd normally string a racket without taking a break. And you can see everything is set up the same. I just put down at the bottom here that I strung it in 16 minutes. But at the end, you'll see that the string bed deflection is 53, which is 2 units higher than the one that I took a 30-minute break. And the IART 300 is 1 unit higher in both the DT and the string tension. So I have my second racket here. I strung the mains, and I'm still waiting 30 minutes. So I'll tell you more about that after I string up the crosses. Alright, so as I'm taking my final reading on the second racket that I did here, I'll tell you a little bit about this racket. It's the Prince 03 Legacy 120, and this is the one in synthetic gut. So let me just log this final reading in here. Right here. Alright, and I'll put it up so you can see it. I strung it with Prince Lightning Pro 17, which is a synthetic gut. And I strung it at 52 pounds. So you'll notice that the first racket, I took that 30-minute lunch break. And the second one, I did it like how I'd normally string it in 15 minutes. And you can see that the Babolat RDC string bed deflection came out both at 56. In fact, the IART 300, you'll notice that the DT and the string tension both matched up. So what I'm taking away from this is that the synthetic gut, or something that doesn't stretch out as quickly or lose tension, wasn't affected by that 30-minute lunch break. So I'll talk about some key takeaway points next. In summary, here are some key takeaway points from this experiment. So if you compare the two rackets, the one on the top is the polyester and the one on the bottom is synthetic gut. Again, the polyester one was the one that was affected by that 30-minute break. And I think it's due to the fact that polyester strings do lose tension quickly. So it was affected by having it sit there for 30 minutes, whereas the synthetic gut didn't. So to be honest though, if you have a client that has only one racket and strings, let's say once a year or even 6 months, I don't think they'll notice a 1 pound difference. However, if you have a client that has 2 or more rackets that they string at the same time, they might be able to tell the difference if for some reason you took a break on one of their rackets. And even if they can't tell the difference, just knowing that I know it, that would bother me. So when stringing 2 or more rackets for a client, always plan accordingly so you have enough time to string them before your lunch break. Speaking about stringing multiple rackets for a client, here's a fun fact. I strung at an exhibition tournament, a pro tournament here in Hawaii, and this player Kei, you might know who he is, here's his work order form. So he dropped off 5 of his rackets to be strung, and if you look at the rackets labeled 1 through 5, he specifically wanted the rackets strung at those tensions, but also in that order. So you notice that racket number 1 is the highest at 43.41. Then it drops down to 42.40 on rackets 2, 3, and 4, and then 41.39 on racket number 5. So I was curious why he wanted me to string them in that order. So his thinking was that if he would start with racket number 1, but because of the fact that it would be sitting there for the other rackets to be completed, he felt like the tension might drop closer to what 42.40 was. And as far as racket number 5 being the lowest is because it was more freshly strung, that it would again be closer to maybe what 42.40 was. So that was his explanation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. He also didn't mind that I strung the rackets the night before, so that made it easy. I didn't have to plan for my lunch break the next day. Thanks for watching. Happy stringing, and let your strings play.